we have some hint, we have some results. And first one is the mitochondrial DNA, because the mitochondrial DNA tells us that there was a first mother of all the humans. And this first mother, by the scientists, has been identified as living around 200,000 years ago. And this is a strange coincidence, you know, with what is written in the Bible and with what is written in the Sumerian tablets. And moreover, we have few people know about this, but you know, the evolution is saying that we derived spontaneously from apes in some way, but it is 150 years, because it is 150 years that the Darwinist theory is born. It is 150 years that they are looking for this missing link between the apes and Homo sapiens, and they have not found it. There is no missing link. And also, we know with absolute certainty that all the apes and all the monkeys, they have 24 chromosome pairs, while Homo sapiens has 23 chromosome pairs. And it doesn't happen that you lose a chromosome just walking in the street, like you lost a bag or a passport or something like that. To the passage from, and there is an important work also by Lloyd Pye on this topic, and the passage between 24 and 23 chromosome pairs requires a very sophisticated, a highly sophisticated genetic engineering intervention. It cannot happen, no way that it happens spontaneously. So there is one more clue from the scientific world, which is telling there was at a certain point in time, there was a genetic engineering intervention, and thanks to the mitochondrial DNA, we can identify in time, like around 200,000 years ago. And I think this is very important, because we have so many sources telling more or less the same things, genetic intervention. This brings to another point, that creationism is wrong, that the Darwinist evolutionist theory is wrong concerning the origin of man, and we need to refer to a third way, to another theory, which we may call the intervention theory, to explain the origin of man. That someone, the Elohim, the Anunnaki, probably, they engineered the human being.
In tutti i continenti del pianeta ci sono racconti che rimandano alla stessa storia, cioè i figli delle stelle che sono arrivati qui e hanno fatto l'uomo.
Mr. Biglino is saying that in many tales, ancient tales from many populations all around the world, it is told that people from the stars came here on this planet and made man.
Yeah, and that's a story that is told by cultures that are separated by time and distance. They all say the same thing, that their forefathers, those that taught them and showed them who they were, all the stories say their gods came from the heavens.
Yes, exactly. But so it seems that from all these clues that we have, all this evidence, it seems that it is not just, they are not just legends or myths. There is some truth in those tales. And we have all these clues from science, we have the clues from the original text, Hebrew text of the Bible, we have the clues from the ancient Sumerian tablets. By the way, the Sumerians, they popped out from nothing as a perfectly formed civilization with writing, with science, with astronomy, with a political system, a judicial system, with laws and measurements and agriculture and everything from nothing. They popped out perfectly formed. How this is possible? And the Sumerians were preceding the Egyptians. I mean, we are talking about the Egyptians. We talk about more or less the beginning of the Egyptian culture, the ancient Egyptian culture. We are talking about 3,200 BC. About the Sumerians, we talk about 4,000 BC or 3,800 BC. That is the most ancient culture that we know of.
Right, and even the Bible refers, what I believe is the Anunnaki. They refer to the Anak. It's spelled ANAQ.
Just I translate to Mr. Biglino.
Sì, la Bibbia dice che quando stanno per iniziare la conquista della terra di Canaan,
the Bible says that when they started to the conquest of the land of Canaan,
viene mandata una pattuglia a esplorare il territorio.
A crew is sent to explore the territory.
La pattuglia ritorna, fa il suo racconto.
The crew is coming back and reporting what they have found about the territory.
E raccontano che oltre alle altre cose dicono: abbiamo visto che ci sono ancora i figli, cioè gli Anakim, cioè i figli di Anak.
And the crew is telling that in that land they have found that they are still there, the sons of Anak.
Di Anakim.
Di Anakim.
E dicono che erano di statura molto alta.
And the crew is saying that the sons of Anak were very, very tall.
E dicono che loro si vedevano piccoli come cavallette al loro confronto.
And this crew is saying that they were seeing themselves comparing with these tall beings, the sons of Anak, like small locusts.
E
yeah, they refer to the giants. That's what they're describing as the giants who were the offspring of the Anunnaki. Well, and that's what what Mauro was talking about. It's mentioned in chapter 13 of the book of Numbers, where that's where that Yahweh was taking them to the promised land, and they actually sent out scouts to see what was ahead, what kind of enemies would be ahead of them. And that's when they came back and reported they had seen the sons of Anak, who were described as very tall, and the scouts that they had sent out came back and said that the scouts would look like locusts, like small insects in the eyes of the Nephilim. That's another word that they use for the giants. And the fact that they have reference in even after the Bible's been twisted and distorted and edited, they still have reference of the Anunnaki. They call them the Anak in Numbers. Ken, what do you think about that?
Well, I'll tell you what, this has been one of the most educating, fascinating topics, and let me say this, I have been baptized a Lutheran, but I have suspected what Mr. Biglino has translated for over 30 years. My instincts tells me that what he's telling us is the actual truth, and that the Anunnaki interacted with humans, I've suspected that, like I said, for 30 years. This has been absolutely fascinating. And one of the questions I wanted to ask before we lost him was that has he received any negative energy? In other words, has he had any kind of threats, any kind of pressure put on him to keep from speaking the truth, if you will?
Well, actually, I spoke to Greg about, because and for our guests who I probably did a poor job of introducing Greg and Mauro at the beginning. They were speaking to us from Italy on Skype, so
yeah.
So we had an intercontinental connection going, and we seem to have lost it for some reason. But that being said, to answer your question, no, he has not received any negative contact from the Vatican. They just basically cut him off when it was clear what he was finding, and that he was putting that information into a book.
Right.
So they just said, we don't need you anymore. We'll take the first 17 books you wrote for us. And
right. It goes back to, we want the truth. We may not like it when we get it, but we want it nonetheless.
It looks like we're getting our guests back. They've just popped back up. So hopefully in a moment here we'll have Mauro and Greg back.
Just reaffirmed what I have suspected for a very, very long time. And I think it goes to the root, Todd, of who and what we are. And I think ultimately the answers will come from Mr. Biglino and people like him. I think that the answers lie in that area.
Greg, are you back? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. We had
glad you're back.
We had an internet connection problem.
Sure. And considering
it never happened in 7 years. It happened only 2 times. So it is a bit surprising.
Well, as you know,
perhaps Yahweh was not so happy with us.
Yeah, I could think of some. But where we left off, we were talking about the giants.
Yes.
Sì, I giganti, la Bibbia li conosce e li cita in più occasioni.
Yes, Mr. Biglino is saying that the Bible is speaking in many books, in many different verses. He's talking about these giants.
Dice che i giganti erano sulla terra quando gli Elohim decisero di unirsi con le femmine Adam.
And the Bible is saying that the giants were already on the earth at the time when the sons of the Elohim mated with the women of the Adam, with the human females.
La Bibbia dice anche in 2 passi che alcuni di questi giganti avevano 6 dita per ogni arto.
Also in some verses of the Bible it is written that some of these giants were having 6 fingers for each hand.
E anche
okay.
Anche
And also,
e dice anche che combattevano nelle file dei Filistei contro gli ebrei.
And also the Bible is saying that these giants were fighting together with the Philistines against the people of Israel.
E ad un certo punto dice che in realtà pare che siano andati scomparendo, perché nomina gli ultimi 3 quando sono stati uccisi in battaglia.
And it seems like the giants disappeared because only few of them remained, and the last 3 of them were killed in a battle, in a fighting.
Una cosa curiosa è che i giganti sono chiamati Nefilim.
One interesting point is that the giants are called the Nephilim,
che è un termine plurale,
which of course, Nephilim is a plural term in Hebrew.
e il singolare